Namaste, everyone. We welcome Brijeshwari Gohil to this interview as part of the auction fundraising that is happening on 30th November. And we are talking to Brijeshwari. She's the princess from Bhavnagar in Gujarat. And she's a graduate, a double honors in history and archaeology. And she's done her master's in heritage management. She has also worked in multiple museums in India, like the Piramal Museum of Art and the CSMVS. And she has also been part of the UNESCO chair, Durham in Nepal. So, welcome, Rajeshwari. Thank you so much for giving your time and sharing your memories, your business plan, and the amazing work that you do with the audience from across the world. So,
Namaste, everyone, and thank you. Actually, I mean, it's so lovely to see that we're doing this. This mammoth of a task with 200 million, and I'm happy to be part of it.
So we're going to ask you 5 questions, and we expect like a rapid fire session of answers. Okay. So we start with the first question, Rajeshwari, is share some memories of a museum, your heritage house, a museum you've created, worked in, anything.
So, till now, I haven't been fortunate to start my own museum, but I think my exposure to the museum culture that, a lot of kids don't get growing up, especially in India, started because of my mother, right from a very young age, all the holidays and be it in India or be it abroad. And I think that's when the real comparison started with how much potential there was in India and what we could really do. So the seed was sort of planted growing up, and I think that led me to take these subjects on as I grew up. In terms of memories, I would say for me, the most fond memories would be at my home itself, because growing up and doing schooling in Bombay, Bhavnagar, and coming to the palace and the ancestral home was a thing of like summer and Diwali holidays. So they were obviously like, we were in this culturally rich and vibrant setting, but we were just playing regular children's games at that time. So I think the juxtaposition of both those, that childhood as well as the cultural exposure that subconsciously I got at the time, I think that for me is this sort of memory that's etched, but also the way I kind of would love youngsters and kids to grow up, the landscape that I would hope that they grew up around, where they have these memories, museums and galleries that they can really venture into and have their childhood seeped with such cultural heritage. So
great, that's a wonderful idea. That means so much to us from across the world. Coming to the next question, as a woman entrepreneur, as somebody who right now is in the middle of starting an intact chapter at Bhavnagar, to the amazing work that you do with your communities in the region, what is your plan? Do you have like a business plan? What is your future plan right now during the lockdown also?
So, I mean, honestly, during the lockdown, a lot of plans went, well, totally like flat in that sense. And one really started introspecting what was already at home and how I could really like consolidate things, which, well, my family members had already sort of been doing over the years, but kind of, bring in the digital era, for example. So start digitizing and archiving records. So those were the kind of tasks that one took up during lockdown. With the Bhavnagar heritage work that I've been doing, because we didn't have heritage walks and engagement programs actually happening in person, we took to improvising our website, starting an e-commerce database where, we have the crafts and the artisans, you're able to buy things online. So that's basically, I mean, through the auction also, that's exactly what we're doing, right? Where we're giving them that digital platform when you don't have tourism happening for these artisans, you don't have other, you don't have that buzz in these small areas. So that, how do you improvise? So I think personally, one took to digital a lot more than general, especially given that Bhavnagar is a smaller area. So people are not that accustomed to the digital world on a day-to-day sort of happening. But with the intact chapter has been a long dream, in the sense where it's been planned since the past 2 or 3 years, I would say. And it took me about a year and a half to actually get, the right permissions and everything kind of moving. I think a lot of it is because, you're young. So you have this like fire or this spice that you want to do something. You just don't realize how impractical or how much time it would really require. And I think something that was one of the challenges with Intact, because it is at the end of the day a national organization, and there are certain rules and regulations that one has to really go past. And I did not really take all that into account on a personal level, because I was like, okay, this will happen in like a month. And of course it took like 6 months. So I think that those were the challenges, where it was more about starting things and, kind of like gaining the confidence that, you're young and you have all these ideas and you can materialize on them. So at the end of the day, I think your work has to speak louder than, I am speaking here. So I think hopefully my work accounts for, my professionalism more than me just blabbering here does. But with the Intact chapter, one is hoping to get a lot of stuff done in the city, mainly to have an impact on local artisans, but also locals in terms of employment, where there are so many jobs available if just generally heritage sites are revitalized. You have museums, you have cafes, you have all these experiences as a tourist that, you want to witness when you come to a city or a town. And it's the local community at the end of the day that can provide that. One does not understand that this can also provide employment and financial viability to the people around. So for me, it's not just about an artisanal cluster or a community, but it's about the local people all around. So it's not just if you're in the arts, but even if you're in hospitality, even if you're someone who's just you've just got your rickshaw, your bus. How can you profit when there are more tourists coming, right? So it's about creating that network of people and that flow as a cultural unit, as a cultural fabric or a framework, I would say. So that is my long-term aim. It's not just to provide.
And it's also a very important sustainable goal, not just of the UN sustainable goal, because then you are also stopping migration. So people are staying home, they're staying with their families. So it's a more holistic kind of society at the end of the day that you're building, right?
Absolutely. So I mean, for me, long term, that is something that I would hope to achieve, not just gain, meals for artisans for say a year or something. It has to be something more viable. It has to be something more long term, and it has to be something that draws them also to not want to go to another city and take up a job, or, stick to their roots in that sense and identify with them. So I think it's very important to have that network, and that's something long term I hope to achieve.
So you're actually thinking of a larger ecosystem. That's really brilliant. That's really brilliant. So the next question is, what are you doing or planning to do in terms of preservation of the local, of your region's crafts and arts, the rich heritage that you have? So there are absolutely. As a woman, do you think differently? Do they react differently to you when you work with them?
Well, react differently, yeah, because the moment you go into a small town in India, the dynamics in terms of, being a woman on your own is very different. Thankfully, I do have my family backing and name, and I think using that where necessary has helped a lot in terms of being taken more seriously with regards to this sort of work. Where taking forward artisans and crafts, things are concerned, artifacts are concerned, I think we are moving from a utility based to a more aesthetically appeasing artisanal product. So it doesn't always have to be something that serves a particular purpose. It can just be something more decorative and something more aesthetically appeasing. I think because in India, craft has got this very basic thing, in terms of we tend to compromise on quality when we're going into mass production. So we're trying to compete with, say, for example, we have these local toys that they make here out of wood. So they're trying to compete with a Chinese market where plastic is concerned. What I try to say is that don't compete with that. Make these one of a kind, make them artisanal in that sense, where they are valued for their quality rather than for being produced in X amount of quantity. So for me, long term, it's something that, you might end up going into maybe a niche or a luxury product, maybe at some point. But you, as an artisan, you're getting that due value for your product rather than just creating something in X amount of quantity for the sake of it being created. So it's not that, just for the sake of saying I'm promoting crafts and creating something, it's not something that's long-term sustainable. So one is looking at creating things that are wearable, usable, decorative, but at the same time, they're of a certain quality. So you're not just compromising on that because you're trying to create something for, say, tens of thousands of people. Because at the end of the day, handwork cannot compete with machine work where that's concerned. So for me, as a whole, that's the thing. Of course, I would much rather have people come here and purchase products rather than buy them online, simply because when you see an artisan working on something, you tend to appreciate it more. It's a memory that's etched in your mind. So if it's something you're keeping in your house, you're going to look at it and cherish it more than you will if you just purchase something online. So I think personally, that tourist experience where artisans are concerned, that is something that I aim to. So of course, digital for the lockdown and stuff, it's been very, resourceful that, you have these websites. But long term, I really hope people come to Bhavnagar and actually see them making these crafts, be it our copper work, be it our beadwork, and actually purchase them because they generally value them at that particular point, not because they're trying to save or safeguard a particular art or craft. So it shouldn't be like a pity sale, right? It should be something that, I want this. So I think that differentiation is something that you can only have when you come and see it being created. And
when you're saying, which comes to our next question, when you're talking, the question is that how important is social media to all this? So when you're saying, what you're saying is very important. It's something that one doesn't usually think of. We are always thinking of selling things online. And then, exactly. That has a huge impact. And we are looking more always at the sale, at the the money.
It's a short-term benefit. No, it's not a long-term benefit.
True.
You're not going into the network and the cycle that now tourists will come here, they will look at the craft, they will stay here. So there is impact in hospitality, they will eat here, there's impact in terms of local cuisine. So there are all those things also that you're checking out of the list as you're purchasing or engaging with that craft. So you're creating a larger impact and a longer impact rather than just saying, okay, today we had 10 artisanal products were bought. So I think for me, I'm thinking more of the larger picture where the city and the people are concerned rather than something that's more for the time being.
That's true. That's something students can learn from, there are lots of design and architecture and art school students nowadays who go for these immersive experiences, and they just go for a few days and come back. But this is something to actually think and learn for a longer duration. So when you're talking of you mentioned that you've been archiving and digitizing and updating your website. So how do you place your family? Bhavnagar is a small place. In the whole world, there's so much, like we say, an overload of information. So how do you position your family and how do you foresee its space in the whole global, heritage platform?
See, at the end of the day, every place has its own selling point, right? So in terms of my family heritage, I think at the end of the day, we're all just custodians of a legacy. We have a culture that we can identify with, roots that we can go back to hundreds and thousands of years. So personally, I think that because that has helped me in being rooted, I hope to be able to do that to other people, because at the end of the day, when you identify with a certain place or with a certain, community and culture, you tend to value it more and you can take it forward more. You end up respecting other cultures and communities also. So I think for me personally, that's been a family impact. Where I see Bhavnagar is that I think because India is so diverse and Gujarat itself is so diverse, if you look at every small area, it's at the end of the day, it's what story you tell and how you narrate that story. So I think it's very simple where, if we have a particular beadwork, for example, so we have these really, really cool and fascinating games that were played. It's like a mini Ludo, right? Which were played with these beads. So I feel that that's a story in itself that, you may not be sitting and playing Ludo every day, but that itself on a piece of, on a table or anything just has its own, it has its own cultural significance in the sense also. So I think each area has its own story, and like that Bhavnagar, small be it, but it does have its own story to tell. And I do hope that I can bring that to a global front. And
who better than somebody who belongs to the family to tell that story? Because your perspective is going to be so unique, right?
I feel like I'm learning something new every day, even when we talk about digitizing of records, for example. when you look at, like, gazettes and state papers and stuff, there's so much to learn, and there's so much that it's like you can learn from history in that sense, right? So there's so much to learn and so much to imbibe from and so much to really promote and build on. So it's not just that, you're just going on promoting the past, but you're kind of building on it and creating that narrative. So I think for me, that's very important. And that's something that digitizing the archives, be it, or just living in Bhavnagar and interacting with people, has really taught me to do. So I hope to be able to tell those stories to people and, I don't know, help them, encourage them to come to Bhavnagar and see what it's all about.
Which is what your experience is, which is what the experience that you've donated. It's could you just tell us about the experience?
So it's for the auction. It's 3 nights of stay at our ancestral property. So Neelambagh Palace is one of Gujarat's oldest heritage hotels, and Bhavnagar's oldest heritage hotel. And it was built as the home to my great grandfather. And yeah, I mean, a stay here with, we are going to be having, like, we're going to go to the fortified town of Sihor, which was basically the capital of the dynasty prior to Bhavnagar being founded in 1723, and interact with artisans who are still living there and practicing various crafts, and also take a heritage walk of the city, something that we actually do every weekend, but it'd be something interesting. And I'm there every Saturday, Sunday, so I will obviously be there as well. But yeah, that's the experience. So come experience Bhavnagar's hospitality.
Yes. So everybody go bid for this amazing experience. The auction is on 30th November, don't forget. And thank you so much, Brajeshwari, for taking out time. You're extremely busy, rushing around.
No, thanks for starting this and, starting the dialogue. I think it's something much needed, and
yes,
I hope that.
Yes, I mean, we need to hear your story, and especially in India, we need to know how a young woman like you is going out there, and you did have the choice of staying in the luxury of your house, but you chose to go out there and fight it out, and it's a different battle, right?
Yeah, I think you have to take responsibility and be able to create an impact, right? Otherwise, what's the point of it all? So.
Best of luck to you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. Namaste, everybody. Have a lovely time and do bid for the auction.